Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. We are just 16 days away from NFL season and only 4 days away from week 0 for college football. We got a college football pick for you today. We got WNBA, we've got MLB, we've got tennis, anyone, and of course, some PGA for you. We do have to look, unfortunately, today. We have to look at the recap screen from yesterday. I don't know what to say. This is not good. 0-4-1. We get a push. That's our best bet, is a push. We go 0-4 in MLB and soccer. I will mention the prop that Buckets had. His player got subbed out because of injury 30 minutes into the game. So a little bad fortune, misfortune on his end. But either way, this is not very good. We got to bring in an all-star team for a bounce back. And that's exactly what we're going to do, because we've got Taft Gantt. We've got Calvin Wetzel and Calvin Wetzel's shirt. We've got Mike McClure. We've got Amags, an embarrassment of riches. Mike, we've got college football coming up. We got NFL. You're doing so much on the tennis end, MLB, you name it, you got it. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, Sia. Yeah, it's U.S. Open time in tennis. We got the Tour Championship in golf. We've got college football week 0. We are all the way back. Again, Major League Baseball going on. You got the WNBA. Everything in full swing. Feels good to be back.
Tyler Graham says Joshua Cribbs days away from NFL, an NFL name that people are definitely going to forget. So, Tyler, I'm glad you brought him up. And speaking of football, Mike, you, me, and Meg Shop, Fantasy Football Today, DFS, that show is back next Thursday. I believe that's the 28th at 11 o'clock. We'll be resuming that 11 o'clock show, setting you up for the entire slate, some showdown stuff as well. We'll be teasing that on social media, so make sure you look out for that, and make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on Spotify or Apple. That's Fantasy Football Today, DFS. Calvin, how are you and how's your shirt?
I set a high bar, I feel like, last week with the little Nuggets-esque throwback. So
Yes.
People in the chat can let me know if I'm living up to it. But someone said it's waking them up, and that's the goal. I know some people it's early. If you're on the West Coast, 7 a.m. right now. So just trying to wake everyone up a little bit.
Gus Dawson is that guy. He said, Calvin's shirt wakes me up more than a chip me up, which is extremely high praise. Taft Gantt, you're here. And what's really cool is that I think people think, okay, Taft's coming with a golf play, which is great because you're very sharp when it comes to golf. What people don't know is that you may be appearing on this show in the future after golf season or when golf takes a little bit of a slowdown, because you don't just cover golf, do you?
No, see, we love college football. It's who doesn't, right? It's the best time of year. Besides maybe the Ryder Cup in a month, this is going to be my favorite weekend of the fall because we have Tour Championship and we have week 0 college football. I can't wait to give picks for both.
Yeah, we've got the Best Bets show tonight at 7 o'clock. I might have some picks for the British Masters as well. I'm kind of still diving in there, but certainly a lot of Tour Championship talk tonight at 7 o'clock. Amags, it always feels like it's MLB season. How you doing today?
Yeah, it feels like MLB's been the main thing on the menu for how long now, right? And so we finally get these other sports coming back into play. I know NFL preseason has been pretty solid, but that college football week 0, I too love not only college football, but the NFL specifically as well. So happy to get those back. But we still got a long way to go in this baseball season.
Yeah, there is a long way to go in this baseball season. I see a comment from, and Mike, I'm not sure if this refers to your pick, from Stephen Cook. He says, I tailed the Uchiyama pick, already moved to -150 on DK. Mike, if that's your pick, why don't you kick off the show? Because if this line is moving, we need to get it out there.
Yeah, so it's the Uchiyama pick. It's the Michael Zhang pick. However you want to look at it, that's the match that we're looking at. It's a U.S. Open qualifier, and I think there's a large gap in talent here. When I look at Michael Zhang, that's who we're backing, even if the bet is listed as Uchiyama here. I'm backing his opponent to not win a set. I played that this morning at FanDuel -138. It's moved to -150. It should be, in my opinion, -175. There's still a little bit of room left on it. This is also the same thing as a straight set victory, or if you have set betting, -1.5 sets. I am very bullish on Michael Zhang here. He is the reigning NCAA singles champion in the men's side. He's from Columbia University. It's essentially a very comfortable spot for him. I know it's not big center court. It's not a lot of fans in attendance here for a qualifying match. However, he will be well supported at this particular match and event. He, again, winning the NCAA singles title. I think it's just a huge mismatch overall in terms of skill set. And I think this match matters a lot to Michael Zhang. So it's really just backing him at a price point that, again, should be minus 175 or greater for a straight set victory, the way I chose to play it. And just a note for those of you that want to back tennis. Tennis is a sport on some of the retail books like this. When action starts to come in, some of those markets get moved manually. So all the markets that are essentially the same or correlated, they don't always move at the same time. And that's what happened here with this particular market being minus 138, but the actual straight set victory or the set spread, which again are identical bets, those were moving in real time because that's traditionally what players bet. So if you're looking to bet straight sets, when you're talking about a best of three like that, look for some of these alternative markets on players to win sets or not. And you will oftentimes have little windows to grab better price points.
Well, speaking of windows, we have some time before the singles matches start at the U.S. Open, Mike, on Sunday. Is there a future, whether it's on the men's or the women's side, that if somebody, because I think a lot of people, there's a lot of these sports where people listen to the picks and they're like, well, I don't bet a lot of tennis, or I don't want to dive into the weeds or whatever. They'll take this bet that you just gave out, but they're not going to be going day to day looking at tennis. Are there any futures for some people who might want to dabble before this tournament even starts that maybe they can ride for the dependency of the tournament?
It's really tough. I know we all love futures, want to bet futures. On the men's side, it's similar to golf, but even more kind of, the right word to say it. The top tier in men's tennis is more dominant than Scottie Scheffler is in golf.
Wow.
You're going to have the same two guys, likely Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, meeting in this final. It can be tempting to take super long shots on some of these other players. I personally would wait because the number you're going to get backing them, even if you start backing them at the quarterfinals, is going to be very similar to the pre-tournament number.
Mm-hmm.
And the same can be said for a lot of those situations. So if you like Carlos Alcaraz, I think it's fine to back him on the pre-tournament number. I think he should be closer to a co-favorite with Jannik Sinner. Jannik Sinner is the clear-cut favorite currently. I think they're a lot closer, but it would be very stunning if one of those two wasn't lifting the trophy at the end.
Okay, more U.S. Open, I'm sure, coming from Mike as the U.S. Open gets underway. And I know our Discord has some people in there that are talking tennis on a daily basis, particularly during the majors. Let's transition from tennis to MLB. Amags, talk to me about a couple of picks you have today.
All right. Well, I'm feverishly answering questions here in the chat. So if you've got them, definitely ask them and I'll try to do my best. But got a couple of picks here that I already put out on SportsLine on the website this morning. And look, if you were with me on Brady Singer last night against the Angels, it was a tough loss. Came up a couple of strikeouts short, but really it was, I think, more about his performance and his lack of sharpness on some of those breaking pitches. And you know what? I'm happy to fade one of the worst teams in the league for strikeouts in the Angels. I'm just going to keep kind of going right back to it. But tonight we get a guy in Hunter Green that he has far more chase, far more upside for strikeouts in his game than Brady Singer last night. Now, of course, it comes a little bit with the territory, with this number being at 7.5 here, but I'm just going to ladder it up on the 8, 9, and 10th strikeout. I think double digits are well within reach here tonight. He threw 85 pitches in that first start back off of the IL, and the velocity honestly was great. Average 99 on the fastball, got up to 101. The breaking pitch is actually being thrown a little bit harder this year. So I think that for the way that we kind of look at Hunter Green and the makeup, it's always trying to target the strikeouts. But he also did cover 6 innings. That was pretty encouraging. He said he felt very healthy. And so I don't actually, if you want to bet the outs, I don't dislike it. I think that we could see him get deeper into this game. I just think that these right-handed batters where you look at the splits for Green, he actually splits, skews a little bit towards being better against those lefties for strikeouts. But the underlying metrics, it's like 15% swinging strike on both sides. I think the right-handers he faces tonight in a righty-heavy Angels lineup are, below average in terms of strikeouts. So I'm going to target him for a bunch of strikeouts here tonight. And then secondly, I already saw a couple of questions on the Phillies game in the chat. Liddy asked on the -1.5 run line for the home team here. I don't dislike that at plus 125 odds. I think that's actually a pretty good look. But a way that I'm going to try to attack this game here, if you can't get -1, I think -1 was around -170 or so. I think you guys have heard me in the Discord. I think that's probably the better way to go on the home team. I don't dislike that, but don't love going with the run line on the home team. So I'm going to take an angle here on the starting pitcher, Christopher Sanchez. and he's going to be to record the win at plus odds. Look, you're getting the money line getting close to minus 200 now. You have a guy that's a favorite to go 6 innings here. And even if you don't think he's going to finish a full 6 innings, he has been so good at getting through that 5th inning, getting into that 6th inning with consistency since the start of June. I mean, he's been absolutely nails. You can bring it back even further. He's just a guy that generally can pitch deeper into the game, which is going to give us more opportunities against a guy coming off of the IL here in Bryce Miller. He actually in his last 2 starts in the minors, he hasn't been bad, but I just don't think that that's a great transition for him to now go from allowing, multiple runs in 9 innings across his last 2 starts in the minors. Now he's got to come face a red hot Phillies offense. I mean, they put up over 20 hits last night. It's just kind of incomprehensible how hot they have been. So I'm going to just kind of keep riding the wave there. I think this plus odds for Christopher Sanchez is probably better close to like even money. So getting plus 115 here, I think is a pretty good price for us. I like these 2 at plus odds tonight.
All right. A couple of plus money plays. There's so many baseball questions in the chat, and Amags, we can kind of get to those as we get through the show. There's a lot of comments, Calvin, on your shirt. There's a lot of comments with Taft. Like Joe Neuenfeld Taft is playing that look-alike game. He says you look like you're from Maine. Are you from Maine, Taft?
Nowhere close, Joe, but worth a shot. I am East Coast, reigning from Pinehurst, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay. That's okay. I think Joe is probably nodding his head like I probably should have guessed North Carolina.
The only
Calvin looks like he's getting ready to drive the trolley at the Miami Zoo is a perfect comment. Paul L is gunning for one of the funniest in our chat. We've got a lot of really funny people, and Paul L has really been stepping it up lately. So has BetMGM. I got a couple of promos for you. BetMGM players get an any sports odds boost today. Just make a bet in any sport and you're eligible for the boost only at BetMGM. And also, BetMGM account holders will receive an any sport parlay boost. Just make a parlay with any sports bets and activate the boost. If your boosted parlay hits, you get extra winnings. We've got parlays in the chat right now. Big Cheesy says he's running Atlanta and the Dodgers money line parlay back at plus 125. Maybe we can talk about that later in the show. But right now, let's talk about the sports line pick before we get to a break. A's Twins under 8.5 is minus 124. We got Bruce Marshall coming in with that one again. A's Twins under 8.5 at minus 124. Amags, did you look at that game at all?
I was actually going to look at it right now, so maybe I'll give an opinion on that in a few moments. But I did at least want to mention, maybe I'll try to find who exactly it was, but someone in here asked about a sweat for the day game because it's the first day of school and they're a teacher. So shout out to them for being a teacher. And I think if you want to sweat for that day game, maybe look to the under in, maybe under 8. Still a fairly palatable price in my opinion. Maybe you want to parlay that if you can't take the juice, but I think that under in this game with the wind blowing in, we've seen time and time again, that's a solid spot in Wrigley.
Yeah, that pick is for It's Adam, otherwise known as Adam. He says, give me a pick to sweat while I'm molding the minds of the future. You got to love that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to a quick break, and then we come back with WNBA, with PGA, with college football, with your baseball questions, the home run chart. Oh, my gosh, there's so much to do. We'll get to it right after this message from our partners.
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. So even if you can't count on accurate expiration dates,
that is a rookie mistake,
or people appreciating your fashion sense,
Jim, the crowd is not on board here.
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
Glad we wear our good jerseys.
Yeah. We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. I'm seeing Jason Pogwist's comment here. He says, weather here in Chicago is garbage today, so don't expect too many runs. So that lends itself, Amags, to that day game under. That's 1 of 2, of course, for Chicago and Milwaukee. All right, well, we know the WNBA and the NBA, they're played indoors, so we don't have to worry about the weather. Calvin, talk to me about your pick tonight.
I love the Valkyries +7, and it's actually been ticking down at some books now since we've even hopped on here to +6.5. So make sure you shop around. But I've talked about this team on CBS, some CBS HQ and the network show. I haven't really talked about them as much on this show. So for some of the listeners who maybe haven't been following as much, this is an expansion team. They were obviously not supposed to be good. Everyone protected their top 6 players. This team drafted from basically everyone's 7th best player. They were picked last, 12th out of 13 at best. They weren't supposed to do very well in attendance. Instead, we're about a month left in the season, less than that. They're above 500. They're in a playoff spot. They're selling out every game. They're leading the league in attendance ahead of the Indiana Fever. I know Caitlin Clark's been hurt, but they're setting WNBA attendance records, not just for an expansion team, for anyone. You got Brandon Pajemski showing up as a super fan. Like, the atmosphere is incredible. So what this team has done all year is remarkable. And because of that, especially at home, they've been covering all year, but especially at home, they're 8-3 against the spread as home underdogs, which is most of their home games. They're still underdogs more often than not. They're 21-12 overall, and they have not failed to cover back-to-back home games all year. They did drop one the other night and did not cover. So against the Mercury tonight, in a spot that they're looking for a bounce back and to continue to hang on to that playoff spot, because I do think this team wants to make the playoffs. Coming in, we all thought they were going to be in the lottery, but at this point, this team looks like they really are gunning for a playoff spot. So at home, getting 7 or getting 6.5, getting over 2 possessions, it's too much for the Valkyries. I have to continue to ride them all year.
All right, well, we're going to take the Valkyries +7, and Joe Neuenfeld's going to take a Mai Tai, Calvin, because you do look like a beach bartender. Really good call, as usual, by Joe Neuenfeld. I'm going to try to make a good call in the nationality market. I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood as top Englishman. Now, we only have 30 players. In this market, there's only 3 players. And we've got Justin Rose, we've got Harry Hall, we've got Tommy Fleetwood. Now, just objectively looking at it, I think it's pretty clear Tommy Fleetwood is the better player among those 3. I will tell you that Justin Rose has really flashed lately. I mean, we've seen it very recently, and he's putting up some solid metrics in more of a consistent way than I would have expected. But he's not the consistent player that Tommy Fleetwood is. I do think this is going to be a tee to green test. And when I emphasize tee to green, that does lead me to Harry Hall, because Harry Hall has been an absolute monster. That's in a good way with the short game. I mean, it's actually unbelievable what he's picking up around the green and with the putter. The problem is he's making up for a lack of ball striking. And it's been several tournaments in a row where Harry Hall, a guy I like quite a bit, by the way, he's been terrible with the ball striking, but he's been such a magician with the short game, which again, will certainly help him here. But I think he's relying on it too much. I'd rather Tommy Fleetwood's short game, which quite frankly isn't quite as good, but his ball striking is so much better. So while I think Harry Hall can get hot here and there for a day or two, I think Tommy Fleetwood's consistency over 4 rounds will benefit him in a pretty big way. So I like him. This is essentially a 3-ball in this top nationality market. I like him at -125 over Justin Rose and, of course, Harry Hall. Taft, I got to get your opinion here. Any thoughts on Tommy Fleetwood this week?
Yeah, he was actually going to be my 3rd play if I were to give out 3. I like him top 5 a lot. I mean, he hasn't finished outside that mark really in the last – he hasn't done it at all in the playoffs. He's finished T3 and T4. And, yeah, his ball striking makes him a serious threat at Eastlake. Harry Hall's a tough guy. He just has been making putts from all over the place. But yeah, Tommy Fleetwood is a great pick for top Englishman and then also in the without market.
All right, let's talk about the without market, because you've got a couple of golf plays and then you've got a college football play. If you don't mind, start us off with a couple of golf picks.
Yeah, you're going with your guy, Tommy Fleetwood. I'm going to stick with mine, Russell Henley. When it comes to championships across all sports, you want to stick with what got you there. I've been cashing Russell Henley at top 10s all year long. There's only 30 guys in the field this week, so that's not enough value there. I'm going to go with the without win for Russell Henley. He shot the tournament low last year, 62 in the final round. Now he's coming back home to Georgia. I like him to finish the year strong in what's been his best stretch of his career.
Okay, so we move from Russell Henley to a guy I love. And by the way, I'm not a Tommy Fleetwood guy. I just happened to be 2 weeks ago when he really let me down. But I like him in this market as opposed to a winner market. You like Sam Burns in the top 5 market.
I still have battle scars from that Tommy Fleetwood 2 weeks ago, so I'm just feeling for you there. However, Sam Burns is a guy that also has battle scars this year, mainly at the U.S. Open. But I like him to get top 5. He's the best putter on tour statistically right now in the strokes gained market. There are only 5 guys that have shot 20 under par at Eastlake, the last 2 years. And this is an important thing to look at if you're betting the Tour Championship this week for anyone out there. Because of the staggered start the last however many years, it's been the scoreboard itself hasn't lended the true outcome of how guys are playing. So out of the 5 guys that have played the best in terms of gross par scores, you have Victor Hovland, the 2023 champ, Colin Morikawa, who's not playing great this year, Russell Henley, Scotty Scheffler, and Sam Burns round out the top 5. He's one of the best players so far this playoff, and I think that he can have another strong finish, especially if the putter stays hot.
Yeah, I'm a huge Sam Burns fan. I'm kind of waiting to cash in. I've got one outright. It was Cam Young in the without market at 20-1. I haven't decided on the second out. I'm only going to have 2. It's only a 30-person field, but the second one might end up being Sam Burns on the Best Bets show, but I haven't really made that decision yet. All right, let's transition from golf, and I do see some golf questions in the chat. Don't forget we did the DFS show, me, Mike McClure, and Rick Gaiman yesterday, and it is really good, particularly from a game theory standpoint, which you're going to need when you're talking about 30 golfers. So go back to your podcast feed, Spotify, Apple, or go back to the SportsLine YouTube channel. Catch that show that we did yesterday. Talk to me about Iowa State, Taft.
Oh, yeah. Let's go talk about the Cyclones in a ranked Week 0 matchup. And our Inside the Lines team has massive implications on this game because Kansas State and Iowa State are our 2 favorite bets to win the Big 12 this year. So whoever wins this game in Dublin is going to have a massive advantage there. And we're going to go with the underdog, Iowa State at +3. The line's been moving a little bit, but anything +3 or above, we like them in what is essentially a 50-50 game. Both teams are returning production, but Iowa State specifically has quarterback Rocco Becht coming off back-to-back 3,000-yard passing years. That returning production is something you don't see a lot of in college football. Avery Johnson's a great quarterback himself for Kansas State, but really liking what the Cyclones bring to the table coming off that 11-win year. And you always got to go with the underdog in Week 0, right? Last year in Dublin, Georgia Tech won in that upset over Florida State. So let's ride the Cyclones, get a little thrill going for college football to start the year off right.
It reminds me of the ACC preview we did last week on CBS Sports Network, Taft, which is on the SportsLine YouTube channel and, again, in your podcast feed. We talked about a lot of those teams, including Georgia Tech, who Emory Hunt was huge on Georgia Tech, talked a lot of Clemson, who talked about win totals. Everybody check that out. Mike, can we circle back to golf real quick? I don't know if you've made any sort of official positions or official plays, but you know, we've talked about a few players like Russell Henley, Tommy Fleetwood, Cam Young was mentioned, Sam Burns. Is there an outright that you love or maybe a bet or a market that you love this week for the Tour Championship?
Yeah. So, I mean, a top 10, including ties, is going to be a very appealing market to me this week with only 30 players in the field. Just the probability of being able to cash on a tie is significantly higher this week. So the number one play for me will be Ludwig top 20, or excuse me, Ludwig top 10, including ties, -110. I priced that at -170 because I have Ludwig second in this field, only to Scotty Scheffler. Yeah, so I like Ludwig a lot. I'll play him there. Outrights probably won't have any in this, and then a lot of DFS. A ton of DFS guys will be playing the most of. Okay, the guy I'm playing a lot of. I'm trying to think of my favorite way to say it. The guy I'm playing that you shouldn't is Colin Morikawa. I'm playing a lot of Colin Morikawa this week. Yeah, I like Colin Morikawa with absolutely nothing to play for or everything to play for if you think about the first place prize. We laid it out on the DFS show. I said 19 to 20, maybe 22 of the players in this field don't care about finishing last in this. You finish last this week, you get 355 grand. The difference in 355 grand versus being in the top 10 for like 550 is very minimal to a lot of the players that are in this field. I think that will help some of those elite ball strikers just go for it. There's no consequence to finishing 30th, right?
Right.
So that's what I like when there's just zero pressure, really. And I like Colin Morikawa this week.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of guys that you're not going to want to play, but in a 30-person field, you might have to actually pick them off. And my guy that's sort of in that Colin Morikawa mold, and again, you can catch the explanations on the DFS show, but Patrick Cantlay. In DFS, I'm not taking him as an outright. I'm not even taking him in the finishing position market, although I think you could. I'm playing a lot of Patrick Cantlay in DFS because I think he's going to get squeezed out relative to some of the guys that are around him. Colin Morikawa is certainly in that conversation as well. Let's get to some MLB questions. I know we still have to get to the home run chart, which we will in a second, but GAWD Calvin has a question about Cecilia Vandalcini. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Over 11.5 points at -115.
Yeah, good work on that name. You can call her Chechi if you can't pronounce it. She's on the Valkyries, and so we talked about the Valkyries, obviously, with the expansion team, basically everyone's 7th best player. So this is a team where their best player is someone's 7th best player, but their 10th and 11th best players are someone's best player too. And so the rotations can get kind of weird sometimes because head coach Natalie Nakase really loves to play the hot hand. And if someone's not feeling it, she's going to bench them and go to someone else because there's not a big gap from her starters to her bench. So because of that, I am a little bit nervous to hit some of their overs because I've gotten burned on a couple of those this year where someone's played 30 plus minutes, 5 straight games, and then they have an off night and they play 15 minutes because of those rotations. So she has gone over this in 4 of her last 5, but I would be a little bit cautious because you never know with that team's rotations.
And John Romero wants to know, Calvin, do you like the Sky team total under 73.5? -108.
That one's been working out for us really well as long as Angel Reese has been out. She is questionable to return tonight, so I would be a little bit cautious on that one as well. But if she is ruled out, I would still hit that one.
All right, let's hit the home run plays from the SportsLine model and the Inside the Lines crew. And then, Amags, I'll get your reaction, and then we'll talk about some of the MLB questions we have in the chat. Again, these are the top MLB home run plays. Cody Bellinger, +380 versus real odds of +450. We go to Mickey Moniak, +385 versus +425. I just love saying that name. Mike Trout. Oh, he's on the list. +360 versus +360. So, I mean, certainly, I guess, I don't know if that's good or bad value, but it's certainly equal there. But we've got more value on Bellinger and Moniak. Amags, any thoughts here, or is there anybody else that you have your eyes on?
Well, first off, you see Bellinger. They're going to be playing in Tampa, same dimensions as Yankee Stadium, but obviously down in a better weather environment there in Tampa. So that's always one, as we mentioned, in the summertime, those games would be ones to look at for homers. I'm betting on Hunter Green, but I wouldn't be surprised if Trout did hit a homer. 16 of his 20 home runs this year on fastballs. You know, Green is kind of known for that fastball. And if there's anything that a stud like Mike Trout can still do, it's probably just line up that heater. So I wouldn't be surprised if he hits one, but maybe look at Seth Lugo, 17 home runs allowed in a very short sample size here, at least in my opinion, from compared to last year, over 100 innings last year. He only had 7, I think it was this year. You're looking at 72 2/3, 17 home runs allowed to lefties. So I think that's, Corey Seager, some of those left-handed hitters on Texas in Kansas City. That'd be a good spot as well.
Wu-Tang Forever wants to know, Tariq Skubal over 7.5 strikeouts at +125. Your thoughts?
I lean under, honestly, at 7.5. But I really don't like this spot trying to bet it for Skubal here against the Astros. I'm just good on that.
And Jeff Stenberg, Rays team total over 4.5 is +165.
Yeah, of course. Hey, big Yankee fade guy. But kind of to my point, I don't hate taking team totals in that, in that ballpark this time of year. So at that price, though, I'm sure the 3.5 is rather palatable as well, right? It's probably playable there. So if you really do like that one, maybe play the 3.5 instead of 4.5. But he's a guy chasing big plus money fading the Yankees. So I get it.
One more from D. Johnson. Amags, thoughts on Seth Lugo over 1.5 walks allowed?
So I said I didn't really love that one. He's been a walk machine, but a guy like him that's a vet, I really could see him just trying to get back in the zone here and just getting hit up once again. So if he's continuing to have some command issues, then yeah, that'll be one that he goes over. But I really, after these last 3 starts, I could see him just being like, I'm not walking 4 guys again. Like I have to be in the zone.
Mike, I got an interesting tennis question here from GAWD. Says Arnaldi versus, and I'm probably mispronouncing this one as well, Zandschulp 3-3 after 6 games, first set +120. Any thoughts?
On a hard court, I don't mind it. Not something I'm going to go play, but yeah, I don't mind it on a hard court like this.
All right. And Taft, I noticed it looked like you were kind of attending to the chat a little bit. Were there any questions, whether they be football or PGA or look-alike related, that you need to address?
Well, I think the Colin Morikawa pick got some chats going about his caddy. I think he's sticking with Urbanek as his guy. He's had him for the first 2 playoff legs. Other than that, a lot of people liking your Fleetwood play. But any other questions, Jet, throw them our way.
All right. And Calvin, did I miss any WNBA questions that you need to address?
I didn't see anything. If anyone has them, let me know in the Discord.
Oh, they're just too distracted by your shirt, which is epic, man. I love this theme that you're putting out there. You got a lot to live up to every show, so that's on you, but I love what you're doing. Amags, let's just round it out and make sure we're comprehensive here before we get to the recap screen. Maybe was there a question or two that you just saw that you need to address?
Gus, at least I'll just put this one out there. Gus Dawson Mike Harris over on the hits, runs, RBIs. He's been an absolute machine on that number. So if you want to keep riding that till the wheels fall off, as he says, I think that's probably smart as well.
All right. And ladies and gentlemen, more questions can be addressed in the SportsLine Discord. If you're a SportsLine member, jump over to the SportsLine Discord. It's free for SportsLine members, and you can ask any question you want. A lot of these guys that you see right here on the screen are in that SportsLine Discord. Again, that's discord.gg/SportsLine. And don't forget, if you want to become a member of SportsLine, you just go to, we still have the promo code winners, right? Yeah, head to sportsline.com/join or /join, I should say. Promo code winners gets you 60% off the annual plan. You can always scan that QR code as well. Let's see what we've got with the recap screen. Again, we're looking to bounce back toward championship. Top Englishman, of course, this starts Thursday. Tommy Fleetwood, -125. Just so you know, footnote, that's over Justin Rose and Harry Hall. Then we go to baseball. Hunter Green over 7.5 Ks at +110. And Christopher Sanchez to record the win at +115. That one courtesy of Amags. We go to college football week 0 with Taft Gantt, Iowa State +3, -110. We are 4 days away from that. And then we go to Russell Henley to win without Scheffler at +1,200 and Sam Burns top 5 at +400. U.S. Open qualifier. We got Uchiyama to win at least one set, -138, and Valkyries +7 at -108. Mike, go ahead.
Yes, on the tennis, that is to win at least one set. The option is no. I know it's confusing. They get a lot of people that way.
Thank you for clarifying.
We are backing him to not win a set, but the verbiage used on the sportsbook is to win a set with an option selected of no.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that because I definitely read it wrong. Uchiyama to win at least one set, the no option at -138. Again, no to Uchiyama winning at least one set. All right, let's take a look at the SportsLine pick. We have the A's Twins under 8.5 at -124. Again, on that one, courtesy of Bruce Marshall. We had plenty of leans that we gave out. Speaking of unders, that day game, Amags answered a ton of your questions. He also gave you some home run hitters. But the SportsLine plays Bellinger to hit a home run, Moniak to hit a home run, and Mike Trout to hit a home run. Those are the SportsLine inside the lines home run model plays. Wow, we just went 32 minutes on a Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really good stuff from the team. A lot more to come on the SportsLine YouTube channel, including the Best Bets show tonight at 7 o'clock. Everybody have a great day. Thank you, Amags. Thank you, Taft. Thank you, Calvin Wetzel. Thank you, Mike McClure. And I don't know how he does it, but thank you, Ben, on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s for managing all of this, helping out with the chat questions, the graphics, you name it. Ben has it under control. I'm the Counselor of Cash. We rest our case.